I got a great question recently that really made me smile, both because I'm glad people are thinking about it and interested in this as a possibility, and also because it does not have to be as hard as they're making it out to be. So the question was, what strategies leaders can use to recognize and nurture talent within their team? Now, again, great question, an important thing to be able to do as a leader. And also, you don't need multiple strategies to recognize and more strategies to nurture your team and help them grow and develop. It does not have to be that difficult. In fact, you can actually peanut butter one strategy across the board and still nurture each team member's specific needs and highlight their unique skills and talents. To add even more sweetness to that, you can use the same strategy for everyone and leave each member of the team feeling individually heard, supported, and valued. Now, I want to share this full strategy with you. Don't worry, it's only 4 parts. But if you are someone who is already hearing this and thinking, I don't have a leader who's going to unlock my potential. Stick around to the end because there is a way that you can implement this for yourself. And if you're already shrinking back in your seat and thinking, I don't even have potential, well, I hope you're still around too because there is a guide specifically for you. It is totally free. You can go down to the show notes below, click the link, and grab it for yourself. This guide will translate your work, the work you are doing today, and the skills that you already have into what you will need to lead yourself and others. Okay, so it will translate and help you build your confidence, give you pride in your current efforts, and give you a new perspective on what you're capable of. So just click below and grab the guide. Now, why would you unlock employee potential? Why not just have them stay where they are? Especially if you're a leader or a manager of people, it takes a lot of time, effort, money to be able to bring in new people and train them up. So, why do we want to unlock that potential? Well, leading people has long fallen under this soft skills label. But in more recent years, studies are showing just how critical the aspects of leadership are. And that means things like developing your staff. It used to sound like a nice to have or a differentiator for your organization. It sort of made you elite if you really developed your staff well. But that's changed. And with the addition of millennials and especially Gen Z, personalized development plans are really just table stakes at this point to attract the best employees for your organization and get the most from those talented people that you hire. But it takes time to create those development plans. And trying to fill those plans with classes, mentoring opportunities, it can all feel like a second job. Managers and supervisors, they just don't follow through all of the time. And while I can understand why that happens, it is the reason why we see this mismatch between what a company promotes as development on their careers page on their website and what those people are actually reading on Glassdoor, what your prior employees have said about you. It's that lack of follow through that creates this big gap. And now you have employees who feel undervalued. They see what their great talents are and they see those skills going to waste. And worst of all, there's now this documented plan out there that points them to success and reminds them that their development just isn't happening. This highlighted mismatch is part of the 70% weight that Gallup found supervisors having on their employees that led those very employees to disengaging and quitting in their work. Now, some of those people quit and actually leave the organization, and other people quit and stay right where they're at, poisoning the culture of the whole organization. So, today I'm going to give you the simple 4 step guide to develop every employee into the best version of themselves. It will have them using those great talents on a consistent basis and have the right leaders hearing about all of the great work that they're doing. Okay, are you ready to unlock potential now? Okay, let's dive in. So, first, you need to evaluate what your team does well, and not just your team as a whole, each individual member of that team. If you've been micromanaging or helping a little too much, you likely are going to have to take a step back for this one to work. You will need to get out of the weeds of the day to day and let yourself watch the team shine. I know it'll be hard at first, just like when you had to sit on your hands so that your little kid could actually learn to tie their shoe. But I promise you, it is so worth it. Give them the opportunity to present their efforts and their results. It can be in team meetings, it can be in one on ones so that just you're hearing it, and listen to them. Really listen to them. Listen for what lights them up, what they excel at, what creates energy in them. Now, they may not actually use those words. In fact, they probably won't, but you'll be able to hear it nonetheless. Empower them to take ownership of what they are working for and show it to you. You might find out that Jim is meticulous at data entry, and then also find out that Susan can transform that data into a story, information that you may have never found out if you were too hands on and doing the work yourself. Okay, so number two, acknowledge their skills back to them. This can all be in that same meeting, my friends. People have a tendency to see the worst in themselves, right? We know all of our shortcomings. We know every time we didn't follow through, or we could have done better, or we should have been more prepared. But that gives you a bigger opportunity to tell them what they did well. It allows you to connect with them. It allows you to show respect for their strengths and draw a through line from what they do well to what the company values. And that part is super important. You can tie what lights them up, what makes them them, to what makes the company successful. And when you do this, you show them how they are contributing to the organization. Imagine someone who just had the skill set, right? They just did the data entry. They did it every single day. They plunked away at their computer, but they didn't understand why it was beneficial. And then all of a sudden, a leader comes around and says, "Man, you never make a mistake. You are exceptional at putting that information in." And that is really important because it allows us to make really great quality decisions. It not only reflects back to them the pride you want them to have in their work, but it also more deeply connects them to the company mission, the vision, and the values. All right, are you ready? Number three, give them more of it. How difficult can that be, right? If you're seeing them do well, give them more of that to do. Whatever pitches they are knocking out of the park, just keep throwing them. Every time they swing, whether it is a homer or a complete miss, give them the feedback around what you see them as capable of doing and how it benefits them and the organization. Every single time you want to tie these three things together: what they did well, why that's good for them, and why it's good for the group. So, for example, you see Susan's storytelling given the numbers life, right? She is breathing life into these black and white data pieces on the page. And that actually helps the sales reps understand how teaching the customers how to use their new webcam increases bundled sales and referrals. Then, because she did well there, you give her more opportunities to tell stories. Have her create the slide deck for the next department meeting. Next month, maybe, have her present her findings on another topic. Not only are you giving her more, but you're giving her a separate stage. You are sharpening her skills to a fine point, and getting more opportunities to drive home how her skills tie back to the company performance. You're seeing a trend here, right? All right, fourth and finally, right? Open doors. The final step here is to articulate the success and the skills to the other leaders in the organization that can open even more doors for those talented individuals. In keeping with my baseball analogy, it's like coaching your high school pitcher into the best possible pitcher that he can be, and then calling the scouts, right? Because great leaders don't hoard the best talent, they share it. The coach creates opportunities to potentially get the pitcher from his hometown field to Division 1 stadium. Now, you could help Jim get from data entry to data analyst, and that would be fantastic. You can also help Susan move from data analyst to leading process development for all of sales. Everyone's stadium is going to look a little bit different, and an exceptional leader has the influence and the capabilities to get them a shot at it. Now, this is the number one areas where good leaders fail to become great leaders. Because a good leader can develop their team members' skills, and then they'll try to just keep them exactly where they are. They are trying to build this like super team of their own. It's a little selfish and probably comes from a bit of fear. But a great leader, an exceptional one, just has to push those talented members out of the nest. It's those leaders that no one actually wants to leave, and the leader has to then convince them that those skills are needed on a bigger stage. They're needed at a larger possible value level, right? They get those skilled individuals onto that bigger stage so that they have more exposure and they advocate for them to step into that next role, even when it means that they have to start over with hiring and training from scratch. All right, I want to give you those four again, okay? So to unlock potential, evaluate what your team members do well, acknowledge their skills back to them, tell them what you see, then give them more of what you see them doing well and on progressively bigger opportunities. And then four, start opening doors. Okay, now I promised if you were the employee with potential, then I want to be able to give you a way to help implement this for yourself. Because if you are reading this and thinking, well, there's no hope for me, my boss is never going to do this. First, I just want to clarify that most managers, whether it is supervisor all the way up to C suite, they are doing their best, okay? Many of them don't recognize that a process like this actually will save them time rather than just being another thing to do. So, whether they do or they don't provide you with this level of development, it doesn't mean that you have to miss out. You can follow that same four-part strategy and develop your own skills and bring them to bigger stages. You'll just have to get a little bit creative. So I have three options for you to consider. The first one is all you, okay? It's creating a mental board of directors. I know that sounds a little strange, but it could be 2 to 3 people that are either internal to your organization or a combination of internal and external. And then consider what they would give you feedback on and how they would suggest you move forward. You're going to have to be courageous in opening your own doors with this one. Look for opportunities to get yourself on bigger stages. Don't shy away from this. It is more possible and plausible than you might think. And if you find yourself underestimating what you're capable of, I again just want to encourage you to snag that free guide that I mentioned before. It is down in the notes. You can click the link and grab it for yourself, and it will help you translate what you're doing now to what you're skilled in for the future. Okay, this next version is also pretty safe, but lets you branch out and beyond yourself a bit. And that's to share this post with your work bestie, right? You can make a plan to be each other's accountability, each other's hype squad. You can give each other honest feedback. Commit to regular lunch or coffee or meetings. Doesn't matter if it's weekly or monthly, just do it consistently and discuss where you're each at in this strategy. Okay. Say each other's names in meetings and create opportunities for one another. It is always easier to brag up someone else than it is to find your own opportunities. Don't underestimate the influence you have to impact another person's career. And number three, your boss isn't the only leader you know. So don't paint yourself in a corner on that. I cannot recommend enough that you have a mentor. This mentor can easily slide into that leadership role in the strategy that we discussed. If you have one, they potentially already do. And you can bring them up to speed on what you're working on and where you see your skills currently. They can help you build on them, and they are typically fantastic at opening doors for you. Okay, so let's say you are a bit advanced, right? Let's say you are already putting some of these strategies into place, or you've thought about putting these strategies into place, and you want a little bit of a test of how you're doing. Well, to get a snapshot of how well you develop people, consider this. How often are you taking each step in this strategy? Not just thinking about it, not just talking about it. How often are you actually taking action on each one of these steps? And if you're not, or if you're inconsistent, reflect on why that might be. Now, I want to give you an oversimplified truth of what I've seen. An ineffective manager will completely avoid this, honestly, because they're threatened by success. They don't want to lose their good people, and they don't want to see anyone get further ahead than them. And sometimes they're worried that they aren't qualified to help people develop themselves. A mid range leader, someone who is decent at leading people and managing a group, they're going to do pieces and parts of this sporadically and typically specifically for their top talent. They're not going to be considering everybody within their group. Now, an exceptional leader knows that commitment to consistency following this process, not only for the people in the top talent, but for everyone within their little organization, it's going to propel them forward as a leader, as a group, and for each one of these individuals. It might bring your top talent brand new opportunities, and that's fantastic. And it will also inspire those good, solid employees to take even more pride and accountability in their work. Now, keep in mind those questions. Engage if you are developing potential well, and apply that whether you are developing a team or yourself. Take a good hard look at this. Are you avoiding it? Are you trying it but not committing to it? Or are you consistently going through this cycle to develop your talent and get them or yourself to the spot that best utilizes your skills? All right, that is what I have for you today. I know this one was super tactical. I hope you were taking some notes. Go ahead and restart the video if you really need to get into the meat of it, because this is really good and important work. And like I said, share it with someone else who can help give you that accountability, whether you're trying to develop yourself or you want another manager to help hold you accountable to become the exceptional leaders that you both want to be.